Hello viewers, welcome to Indian Autos blog. What you have on your screen is India's most affordable 200cc motorcycle, the Hero Xtreme 200R. Now we have been riding this motorcycle for a little over 2 days now, and I have been personally looking forward to test ride this motorcycle in real life conditions. I previously test rode this on the Buddha International Circuit, where it impressed us thoroughly. It's not the most powerful 200cc motorcycle in the market right now, but it does pack decent amount of punch. Let's get to that later. For now, let's talk about how it looks. If you look at the fascia, it reminds you of the 2015 Hero Xtreme Sport, which came out in 2015, and you have this typical Xtreme family silhouette that the motorcycle packs. It gets these blacked out covers for the DRLs, which look really decent, really nice. Below that is this conventional halogen headlight, no LED units over here. Above this is this small wind deflector, which provides some solace against wind blasts, but it's not really as effective as proper big screen on the tourer motorcycles. But it's not supposed to be a tourer motorcycle. This is meant to be your city ride, and this unit takes care of whatever you can come across or what you would come across while riding in the city. Right next to the headlamp are these clear screen blinkers with orange bulbs. Underneath you have this the number plate, which is mounted right under the headlight. And over here is the front fender. Now this motorcycle comes with a body colored front fender. There's the Hero branding at the front, anti-lock braking sticker on the sides. This one gets a single channel ABS, which is installed on the front. You have these small reflectors on the side, and you have this black paint that adds a bit of a contrast to the red fender, and it looks pretty neat. It looks pretty sporty. Now, as you move behind, you can see this semi-digital instrument console. It gets a analog tachometer, while all the other information is displayed on the digital screen. So you have the fuel gauge over here in the center, between the analog meter and the digital screen. There's this digital fuel gauge. Then you have the speedometer. All the telltale indicators sit on the top. So there's the ABS light, there's the turn indicator, there's the neutral indicator, and then there's the side stand warning that has been added to this display. Under the speedometer is this odometer. The bike hasn't done a lot of kilometers, just 742. Then you can toggle through the odometer and 2 trip meters. Those are the only two changes that you can make on the screen. There's the mode button to toggle between the odometer and the trip meters. Set. And then there's the set button that can be used to reset the trip meters. Let me just reset the trip meter B over here to show you. There you go, goes to 0. Following the instrument console is this conventionally placed keyhole. There was a CBZ which came with a side mounted keyhole. Well, this one does not. This one gets a conventionally placed keyhole over here. The motorcycle has upright ergonomics, so you can munch a lot of miles in the city without feeling a lot of strain on your wrists and on your back. So there's this engine kill switch, and if Hero doesn't want you to confuse it for anything else, and that's why it gets engine stop written on it. Here's your self starter, and on the other side you have this high and low beam button with an integrated pass switch. It does take a while if you are riding this motorcycle after something like a KTM or the Apache, so it does take a while to get accustomed to this. Underneath there's this turn indicator button. It's got a nice click to it. Then there's this horn. The switchgear quality is pretty solid, to be honest. Looks modern, it looks premium, and Hero gets full marks for these switches. You would notice that there's this choke switch, and yes, this is not a fuel injected motorcycle, this is a carburetor powered engine. Then if you move behind from the cockpit, you have this really nice and muscular fuel tank. Now this is a metal unit, unlike a lot of 200cc motorcycles that use fiber to have a unique and a muscular shape. What Hero has done is used a metal fuel tank and added these shrouds. These are bolt-on shrouds, fiber units that give the motorcycle a muscular look, and they look pretty solid. And if you were to tumble, have a fall and manage to damage one of these, you don't have to replace the entire fuel tank. You can just remove these shrouds using the nuts over here and replace them with a new one, which makes replacement pretty nice and easy and cheap. The fuel tank get this black colored flush type filler cap. There's this tank pad to save the paint from your belt buckle or any other elements that may scratch the paint off. So this is again a nifty feature. It's a rubber pad. It comes pre-installed and it's been installed quite nicely, firmly, and it's showing absolutely no signs of coming off whatsoever. The fuel tank is followed by this step-up seat. It's not a split seat unit, as you must have noticed, but this is a step-up unit, so there's this proper curvature that comes from the tank, if you can notice this, for the rider, and it rises towards the pillion, which gives good amount of padding to the rider when accelerating hard. Then there's this pretty nice and comfortable pillion seat. It feels nice and well padded, well cushioned. I have been riding this motorcycle for last 2 days. I have ridden this in the city and it feels pretty comfortable. I haven't had a sore back. Then there are these stylish split style grab rails. They look pretty premium and they add this sporty look to the overall package. There's this Hero badge on the rear panel right behind the pillion seat, and underneath that is again Hero Xtreme Sport style LED tail light, which is accompanied by these conventional blinkers with a clear screen and an orange bulb. You have the number plate. There is a reflector over here and a number plate illuminator. The sides reveal this exhaust, which come with this heat shield, and there's this small bed that's protruding from the back. That's how it looks. We'll get to how it sounds in a moment. Let it just complete the design part first. And you have these nice metal brake lever for the rear and these well padded, neatly padded footrests. The only complaint that I have with these are not spring type units, so if you were to push them behind, they would lock in this position, unlike a lot of motorcycles which use a spring style unit which would push and bring it back to the location, its original position, once the force exerted on this is removed. This one does not get that. That was a bit of a letdown, but it's not a deal breaker. Still a good package. So that was about the design bit. Let us run you through the technical specifications. The Hero Xtreme 200R uses a 199.6cc single cylinder air-cooled 2-valve carburetor engine. The performance numbers stand at 18.4 PS at 8000 RPM and 17.1 Nm at 6500 RPM. The engine is mated to a 5-speed gearbox and it packs a decent amount of punch. The engine feels uncomfortable below the 3000 mark, so you'd have to steer clear of that. The engine starts to pull cleanly after the 4000 RPM mark with a noticeable step up above 6000 RPM. That's where the engine sounds really nice and grunty. It's got a very nice and sporty exhaust note to it. It's not the fastest 200cc motorcycle that I have ridden. I personally own a 200 Duke and I have had the TVS Apache 200 for a good 8 months, and those motorcycles can clear the 130 kilometers per hour mark quite easily. This one though takes a bit of time. The 80 kilometer per hour mark comes a tad over 6000 rpm, somewhere around 6250 rpm, while 100 kilometers per hour mark comes just shy of 8000 rpm. That's in the top gear. The motorcycle redlines at around 9000 rpm. So we are pretty sure this can go up to 120, but anywhere above that will take a while, probably a longer stretch of road. It's not a fuel injected motor, so there won't be a cutoff at a specific rpm, and if you find a decent stretch of road, you can even take it to about 125 kilometers per hour. Highway cruising, 80 is an ideal speed for, according to me, because the engine is at pretty much in the mid range, a little over 6000 rpm, and there's a decent amount of punch that can help you with quick overtakes. The engine feels refined. There are very low vibrations even close to the red line, and there are very few ignorable, if I may say, vibrations that kick in at around 8000 rpm, which is quite forgivable because this motorcycle feels refined. Although it sounds very sporty and neat, it feels very refined. Let me just start the engine and give you a hint of how the exhaust sounds like. So let me just fire up the engine. That's how it sounds on idle. That's how it sounds. So it's got this nice and sporty exhaust note, and yet it feels very refined, very nice, very few vibrations even at the top end. Now let's move on to the braking department. The stopping power comes from a 276mm single disc at the front with the safety net of single channel ABS, while at the rear is a 220mm disc. This one does not have any ABS ring, as you can see. The brakes have got very decent bite. They can shed speed at a decent rate. They are not extremely sharp, but they're progressive. They feel really nice. Then let's talk about the suspension. The motorcycle uses conventional, the right side up telescopic forks at the front and a monoshock at the rear. It surprisingly has a stiff ride quality. It isn't very hard, but it feels nice and sporty, but you would still notice the undulations on the roads fairly well. So how much will you have to pay for this? The motorcycle has been priced at 91,600 rupees ex-showroom Mumbai. So the on-road prices would just go slightly above the 1 lakh mark, which is well below its rivals. And this is, once again, as I said, the most affordable 200cc motorcycle. It's a good overall package. The build quality feels very nice and sturdy. The switch gear quality, or even the way this fuel tank has been made with these bolted on shrouds, it feels a very nice package, especially for the price that Hero is offering it for. And we really enjoyed riding this motorcycle in and around the city. Do let us know what you think about the review. Subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon to stay notified every time we post a new video. Till next time, this is Suvel Suswirkar signing off.